It's another edition of Time About the Movies, and today we're taking a look at the films of May 19th, 2000. We got 3 movies to look at here, so let's go ahead and jump on into it. We'll start off with the biggest new release of the weekend, Disney's latest animated feature, and that is Dinosaur. So when this came out, Dinosaur was not part of the original animated classics. It actually took almost to the end of the decade to eventually be included in the canon of the classic Disney animated movies, like in the canon with like stuff like Tarzan, Atlantis, that type of stuff. That's kind of interesting when you really think about it, because other animated movies from Disney that are not in there, like the DuckTales movie, or like the movies based off the TV shows, stuff like the Wild or the Winnie the Pooh sequels, despite the fact that 2 Winnie the Pooh movies are in that canon of the Disney animated classics. It's kind of interesting to think about it when you really add it all up, but let's talk about this movie. You follow an iguanodon named Aldar, played by D.B. Sweeney, who is a friend of the lemurs, after surviving a devastating meteor strike and moving out of their home. Along the way, they befriend and reunite with the remaining herd of dinosaurs, who are being pursued by predators such as the Carnotaurus, while on a journey to the nesting grounds. So needless to say, Dinosaur was definitely a very ambitious project for its time. And for the most part, there is a lot to admire about it, mostly in the animation and the visual effects. They both look very spectacular, and the ability to use live-action backgrounds over these CG characters was a pretty fresh approach for the time period. It really is the best aspect about the film. Everything else is pretty bad. In fact, a lot of the problems with this movie could be added to films that are very similar to this, like Walking with Dinosaurs and The Good Dinosaur, each with some impressive visuals, but blotchiness on everything else. This should be a timeless tale, but it doesn't help when you have characters using modern terms, like the lemur basically saying, "What you need is a little help from the love monkey," really. And, like that's part, it was also like that in the advertisements, because you see those great trailers that I just showed you first, but then you got trailers like this. I mean, you can't tell me that any dinosaur would have said that back then. Actually, no dinosaurs would have said anything. That's because, dinosaurs don't talk. I mean, yeah, in kids' movies like The Land Before Time, they can get away with it, but you know what you don't do? Give prehistoric creatures modern-day phrases to say unless you have something funny to work with it. And it doesn't help that the dinosaurs talk, but they got some pretty recognizable voices here. Like Ossie Davis, Alfre Woodard, Juliana Margulies, D.B. Sweeney. It's Disney's laziest attempt to get some recognizable voice actors for this movie. Fox did the same thing with Walking with Dinosaurs, when they got Carl Urban, Justin Long, and John Leguizamo. This should have been something on the level of Fantasia. In fact, Fantasia did a segment pretty much like this, when the animals don't talk and the music and the atmosphere and the animation tell the story. Here, it doesn't do that. The story is your typical cliched story. It's the story of Moses again. You've got a leader who's shy but determined. You've got the female love interest. You've got the selfish leader. You got the lovable comedic sidekicks. You get the cliche characters that a cliche story like this would have. And you have a story about how dinosaurs try to survive this incredible meteor attack as well as the outside world, and they ruin it by throwing these modern-day bits of dialogue and these cliched, unmemorable characters. On a technical standpoint, it's a good movie, but everything else about the movie is just a real mess. The story, the lame, boring characters. I guess for a rental or a one-time watch on Disney Plus, it's fine, but this is one you might want to skip out on. I didn't go to see it when it came out, and it took me a while to actually see it, but I'm kind of glad I waited, because if I had seen this back then, I probably would have been disappointed with the end result, but even then, I'm still very disappointed with the end result as it is right now, So yeah, that is Dinosaur, so let's go ahead and move on to our next movie, and that is Road Trip. So the story of Road Trip is that you have 4 college friends played by Breckin Myers, Sean William Scott, Paula Costanzo, and DJ Qualls, who go on this adventure to retrieve an illicit tape mistakenly mailed to the girlfriend of Breckin Myers' character. That girlfriend is played by Rachel Blanchard, and the woman that he spends the night with making the tape is Amy Smart. Tom Green's also in here. Fred Ward is also in here as well. This is the feature directorial debut for Todd Phillips, who actually made a documentary prior to this, but this is actually the first film that kind of put him on the map, and it was a big hit, too. It was a large hit at the box office, and it was definitely following in the footsteps of American Pie, and it's a movie that I remember watching a lot growing up, and I thought it was a funny movie, and I still think it's a funny movie, even after all these years later. It doesn't have quite the same laughs that American Pie does, but Todd Phillips and Scott Armstrong really were very good at making these movies that really should not work as well as they do. They made it some really great stuff. I mean, Todd Phillips overall has been a really solid director. The more I look at his filmography, he did this, he did Old School, he did Starsky and Hutch, he did a very underrated School for Scoundrels. First Hangover is a great movie. The Hangover, there was that lull between that and the other Hangover movies, along with Due Date. Joker was pretty good. I mean, he's been a pretty solid director overall. Not everything he's done has been great, but they have been very solid. Most of them have been very solid films, and I think this is one of those ones that is definitely a very solid film. It's a very funny comedy. You do like the camaraderie between the four guys. You like the adventures they go on here. There's really great funny lines in here. I love Fred Ward has a really great line in this movie where he and his wife are at this restaurant, and he gets upset at the waiter, and he's just like, "We've been coming in here for 23 years," and the waiter's just like, "We've only been open for 4 years. We've only been open for 4 years, sir," or something like that. But it's just hilarious, and that's clearly something somebody would do to try to over exaggerate anything. Hell, I would do that if I was mad at somebody. Be like, "We've been coming in here for 23 years. We've only been open for 4 years, sir." Like, it's really funny stuff. There's a lot about it that I think makes me laugh a lot. It's a really enjoyable film. It has a lot of flaws to it, but it is still a fun film overall. I enjoyed it a lot, and yeah, I enjoyed this one a lot. Road Trip, fun movie overall. So with that said, on to our last film, Woody Allen's latest film, Small Time Crow. And in this one, Woody Allen plays a dishwasher and a small-fry criminal who hits on a plan with his partners in crime to reopen a local pizza place and dig through the bank down the street. As his wife can't cook pizza but does great cookies, that's what they decide to sell. With the no-hope tunnelers getting lost underground, the cookie operation really takes off, and the team finds themselves as rich business people, but the other local money isn't quite ready to accept them. Along with Woody Allen, you have Tracy Ullman, Elaine May, Elaine Stritch, Hugh Grant, Michael Rappaport, John Lovitz is in here as well. Really solid cast overall here. This was actually a big hit for Woody Allen, who was coming on several different bombs at the box office, and some of those films were good, but some of them not so much. And this was the first of several different movies that he made with DreamWorks overall. Again, some of them were good, some of them not so much, but they were really. This is a solidly entertaining movie. It's not one of Woody Allen's best films, but it delivers what we like about Woody Allen, like what works with Woody Allen's style, what gives this movie a unique edge to it. It's definitely in here, and I think there is a lot to really appreciate here. You can tell that the film took a lot of inspiration from classic 40s screwball comedies, mixed in with a lot of Ingmar Bergman stuff, and it definitely shows on screen. I think the casting overall is really enjoyable. The writing overall is top-notch. The comedy overall is very good. I liked it a lot, so I definitely recommend it. Next week on Time About the Movies, we take a look at Mission Impossible 2 and Shanghai Noon. So if you like this, hit the like and subscribe button. Check out some of the other videos we've done. I'll see you next time. Take care.